Yeah, what's good, everyone? It's your boys, Jimmy, Daz, and Defar. Hello again, lads.
Hello again, mate.
Hello.
God,
Hello,
we only
hello.
recorded like 2 days ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know.
I think this is probably the quickest turnaround in episodes ever that
I
I
we've
think it
know.
recorded.
is. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I know. One of us is going on Ollibobs, isn't it?
Oh, all
So we've
right,
had to
Def.
squeeze. I
Oh,
All
know.
where are you
right.
going, Def? Where are you going?
Morocco.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
man. Should be
Yeah.
nice, mate. Can't wait.
How long are you going for?
Just a week, mate. All
Nice. That's all you
inclusive,
need.
though. All
Oh,
inclusive, though.
yes.
Yeah, it's
Got to be
best,
all
mate.
inclusive, isn't it?
Always,
Oh,
mate.
my God, mate.
Can't beat that,
Yeah,
Def. Get the old trotters up, round the pool,
exactly,
sink a few
mate.
shandies.
Oh, God. Heaven.
Oh, look at his little face.
Can't wait, can he? Can't wait.
Cannot
You
wait.
bastard.
Do you
I'm
know
not
what
looking
I
forward to
cannot
the
wait
flight.
for?
Go on.
Part three of our
Yes.
journey back through the 1990s. So tonight we'll be discussing a whole bunch of great records from 1996 to 1998. So these are some like very interesting years for heavy music. Like some massive bands just imploded.
Yeah.
There was controversy galore as well with certain artists and
Yeah.
causing a stink on TV and things like that, dropping music videos that got old women complaining everywhere. I was thinking deaf as well. Like for us, our own personal, this hit me the other day like a ton of bricks. Right when we started this 1990, me and you were like little fresh faced kids in primary school.
Yeah.
By 1997, I'd started in the soul destroying world of full time work, mate.
Bloody hell.
In 7 years, I'd gone from primary school to full time employment. And I had to sit down when that hit me the other day when I was going. I was
That's
just,
scary shit, isn't
it
it?
is, mate, isn't it? Like just how in the space of 7 years, how everything
How much hey, yeah, like how much
changes.
you've done, but then yeah, like again for music, from the difference from 1990 to stuff that we're going to talk about in these 3 years, there's a fucking huge difference, man, in only a short
Yeah.
space, really.
Well, that's what got me thinking, mate, is that if that much happens to you in your personal life in 7 years, imagine what happens to a band in
Yeah.
the space of that time. Like, no wonder bands change sounds and they shift into different things and they try different things because
They change members,
yeah,
Yeah.
as we'll find out.
absolutely mad, mate. I was going through some of these 98 and when we do 99 in the next one, Daz, it was like, this is where like the Daz era of heavy music starts to begin.
Yes, yeah, yeah. It was very much like back end of the 90s, really.
Yeah, I saw like we're getting to like metalcore started to boot off with like Zaya and Converge and all these all these bands started. And I was like, this is where like
This is
this is like where
Daz's
the Daz
language, isn't
era
it?
comes in. Yeah, yeah.
This is Daz's language, mate.
But you know, as we'll see when we go through all this, these are a lot of these albums covered were like staples in my uh time growing up as well.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like mid 90s. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's pretty
absolutely.
sick actually.
So 1996 then, Independence Day was the highest grossing film.
It was a great film.
I think I saw that at cinema.
Yeah, I saw it at the cinema, I think. It was good for I like it. It's a bit cheesy. America saves the world, but
Fuck yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's yeah, I like it. If it's on, I'll still watch it now.
Yeah, man. Alanis Morissette, biggest selling album of the year with Jagged Little Pill.
God,
Brilliant album.
it is a good album. You heard that that was all the time, innit?
Oh yeah, that
Constant.
dominated. Yeah. Super Mario 64 was the biggest game of the year,
What a game. What a
Great
game.
game.
and 24 million people tuned into the Only Fools and Horses Christmas special, which is just
that,
there
lads.
behind
Look at that,
Deffer's head.
Love it, mate. Love those 3 episodes, mate, were the fucking best.
Legendary, mate, aren't
Best.
they? Absolutely
They
legendary.
should have end. That's how they should have ended it.
Yeah, they should have done.
I know there was the temptation to carry on, but those 3 episodes, mate, just I mean, these two guys at the back.
Where they walk off into the sunset is where they should have.
Yeah, they're millionaires. They done exactly what
Yeah.
Dell wanted to do. So, but
That's where they wanted to finish it, mate. But John Sullivan said they got so much pressure from the media and from the public to
keep
do
doing
more.
Christmas
Yeah,
specials, wasn't it? Yeah, which they're still good.
Yeah,
they
they
are still
are.
very
They are, mate.
gary. Gary.
Yeah, the Gary gang.
It's still fucking good, mate. It's still great.
So we've been kicking off these episodes with death metal up till now, but let's boot things off. Let's change it up a bit this episode, lads. Change is as good as the rest and all that. With some of the big whoppers from 1996. Sepultura released Roots. Destined, they were on the verge of blowing up and becoming the biggest metal band, and they just fucking completely imploded. It was the final album with Max Cavalera, as everybody knows. But I think time has been very, very kind to Roots. Like I know it was divisive when it came out, but I don't think there's any doubt about Roots, how good Roots is now. Like it's, I think it's a fucking classic record. So
Yeah, I mean, you got the first 7 tracks, you know, Roots, Attitude, Cutthroat, Ramata, Breed Apart, Straight Hate, Spit.
All tunes, in it. Big
all
choruses.
tunes,
Yeah,
massive
whoppers.
choruses, you know.
yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about it, mate. Honestly, like
I think I don't get the hate for it, because the title of the album gives away what they're trying to do with this album.
yeah, going back to the
It
roots,
gives it
isn't
away.
it?
Yeah. It gives it away. So people saying, "Oh, it's too tribally, it's too this," you know.
Well, it's new metal or whatever. It's like,
Yeah, they ripped, you know, they copied Korn. Back bollocks. I don't hear any new metal in this, mate, at all.
nah.
There was that whole Korn bloody argument, wasn't it?
I think
They nicked some of their riffs or whatever.
well, the best thing about this album is like they started really doubling down on the sort of traditional song elements,
yeah,
which was like right under their noses the whole time, wasn't it? But I
Yeah.
guess like thrash was just like the global superpower at the time. So
yeah.
They
I
probably
mean,
don't.
like we said, they'd hinted at it on Chaos AD, and this year they just went balls out the bath and
Yeah,
dive straight in. Yeah, Roots is a great album, man. Like
It
we
is,
talked
mate.
about it on the top track special, didn't we? How
yeah.
great it is. So yeah, we're all massive fans, man. Pantera released the Great Southern Trendkill.
What's a fucking
It's
album?
got to be, for me, that is their most savage, isn't it? It's their most like brutally heavy record. This,
Yeah, Far Beyond Driven sort of had that heaviness, but this
oh,
took it even. I mean, how the fuck you take it further, man? I mean, yeah,
well, just listen to the way the album opens up, mate. Like,
yeah, I was going to say the opening. Yeah, the title track opener is fucking unbelievable.
that is unbelievable, man.
Suicide Note Part 2 as well.
Yeah,
Just it's their most
Lots.
varied record as well, isn't it? You've got like they're not ballads, but a lot darker, like Floods, like Suicide Note Part 1. This is my favorite Pantera record.
it's a lot of people's. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Spider-Man gif.
Don't say Spider-Man in front of Batman.
Oh yeah.
Sorry, mate.
The last one with Terry Date as well, Behind the Knobs. So yeah, just a great record, made difficult circumstances for that band as well. So Rage Against the Machine released their long awaited second album, Evil Empire. Was it like 5 years or something
Yeah,
between the first and this one, isn't it? Triple platinum selling. Tire Me won the 1996 Grammy Award for Best Metal Performance. Did not know that.
No, I didn't.
How do you rank the 3 Rage albums, the 3 studios?
I'll go debut.
Yeah.
Battle of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And then this one.
Oh, interesting. My Battle of Los Angeles is my favorite. Then the debut, then this one, I'd say. But they're like
same order. It's not much.
No.
Yeah. I mean, I remember this album being everywhere when I was coming up. So the yellow album cover's like iconic in it.
Yeah, it is, mate. Yeah, you can't
like that weird art. It's got that like sort of what's that like wartime sort of artwork in it, kind of like a poster,
like a USA propaganda poster or something like that, isn't it? Like, But yeah, Balls on Parade was massive as well, wasn't it?
Huge track.
Back then.
People of the Sun's a banger as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a brilliant album. Man.
Oh my god.
Down Rodeo, Without a Face, Year of the Boomerang. They're more anthemic. They're more anthems on here than the debut. That's where that step up was, I think.
Yeah,
They were bigger tunes.
Great album. Great band. Just shame that reunion just went to shit, didn't it? Recently,
God, yeah.
Hey, Metallica released Load, their 6th album. Interesting quote from Lars Ulrich. He said, this album is what Metallica are all about, exploring different things. The minute you stop exploring, then just sit down and fucking die. And it's
That's
like,
it, Lars.
It's kind of true, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
The minute you stop having sort of pushing forward and trying new things, then
what's the point?
Yeah. We've spoken about this album, like Death, loads, how much we fucking love this.
We fucking love this album, mate. There's nothing's changed.
Yeah. People who say the first 4 Metallica albums, the first 6, man. Come on.
Yes.
Absolutely. 5 times platinum. So, the numbers aren't wrong, are they? The numbers don't lie.
They don't lie, mate.
Nope. Alice in Chains released Unplugged, recorded on April 10th, 1996 for MTV's Unplugged. One of the most haunting, beautiful, gut-wrenching live shows ever captured.
Yeah.
Like
it's even now, it's very, you see like the videos, they sort of pop up and that, mate. Like Down in a Hole, innit? That version of Down in a Hole is probably the greatest. Oh, mate, it's incredible. It's just, oh, mate.
Every time I watch this, like someone's chopping onions nearby. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it's very emotional, very, very emotional, mate. Because he's literally at the end of the road.
He's just a dead man, isn't he?
Yeah, he is.
Point,
he's at the end of the road. He's still got that ability, man, but that talent that he's always had.
Yeah.
Even like literally on the worst times of his life, he still belt out these tracks like nothing, man. Just unbelievable.
Goat, mate, wasn't he?
Goat. He was the goat, mate.
Absolute goat. Marilyn Manson released Antichrist Superstar, his 2nd album. It's the first album in one of the best trilogies in rock music history.
Yeah.
This, Mechanical Animals and Hollywood are untouchable, man. Like,
yeah. Irresponsible Hate Anthem is fucking whopper, innit?
Mate, this whole album is unbelievable.
It is, mate.
Like,
yeah, I mean, nothing happened like this before, did it?
No.
He was a bit like, it's quite interesting because he is. Yeah. Like, he was the kind of Eminem for like alternative music, I suppose, at the time.
This was like a bomb going off in popular culture, mate, wasn't it? Like, you had right-wing Christians like picketing his shows and stuff like that, and the government's trying to get him fucking stopped. Like, it was like, look, we know like what he's become, so we're not defending that in any way, but you cannot talk about the 90s without
Marilyn.
Yeah, I mean, the impact that he had, the impact on culture.
Mate, I don't think you'll ever get anything like that again. Him and Eminem in that
that's it.
Period. I don't think you'll ever get anything like that.
No, you won't. You won't. It will never happen again.
We'll get to an album later where it sort of happened in this country.
Okay.
You'll know what I'm talking about, Daz, when we get there.
Yeah.
The video got but yeah, like Antichrist Superstar, if I was doing it, if we went back and revisited our greatest albums of all time, this is in there for me. This is a perfect 10 out of 10 unbelievable record. And talking of perfect unbelievable 10 out of 10 records, Typo Negative released October Rust, their 4th album. Black Sabbath drummer Bill Ward ranked October Rust as one of his favorite metal albums of all time. So,
I think he's not far wrong, mate. This is my favorite Typo Negative. I know it's yours, isn't it?
Oh yeah, mate.
This is the one. Mine. This is the one, man. I mean,
mate, if when Love You to Death comes on there, if that doesn't do something to you, man, then I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, it's just an all-time classic. Um, we spoke about Sepultura imploding or splitting up earlier. Soundgarden released Down on the Upside, their fifth album.
Oh, so I love this album.
Yeah, and then they split
Yeah,
Death
yeah, I
1997
know.
and didn't come back till 2012. So, um, which was Soundgarden were one of the biggest bands in the world at this point, weren't they?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was big news. I remember when it happened. It's
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
to go out. I mean, it's very different to like Bad Motorfinger, Super Unknown. It's a more sort
Yeah,
of raw edge,
it's a
very like live studio type album, isn't it?
interestingly enough, mate. It was self-produced,
Makes
which is
sense.
why it's like 70 minutes long and. Like you could tell there was no editor in there with them, can't you? If they were just
Oh,
like,
fuck
let's
yeah.
do everything, all the
Yes.
ideas that we've got, let's record them all. But there's some great, great songs on this record. I think
Oh
it's
God.
overlooked, man.
It is overlooked, mate. I mean, yeah, Rhinosaur, Dusty, Ty Cobb is fucking
Ty Cobb's great, yeah.
fastest track you've ever heard. Burden in My Hand's got probably the catchiest fucking chorus.
The title
Never,
track's brilliant as well, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. Blow Up the Outside World is
Yeah,
fucking
that's a
classic.
tune, man.
Absolute classic, mate. Never the Machine Forever. Oh my God, mate. It's so good, mate. Such a fucking classic.
Yeah, I know we love this record, man. So, um, Korn released their second album, Life is Peachy.
Oh, I love this.
1, 2,
Yeah.
3, and I come with the wicked.
What a cover that is, man. I
So
seem
good,
to
man.
remember the reviews on this were a bit mixed when this came out, weren't they?
Yeah. I mean,
think
it
'cause
did
it
get
was
shit on a bit.
I think it was so different from the first one, wasn't it? First one was very dark, depressing, very sort of real life. This was a bit sort of fun, wasn't it? And a
Yeah, it
bit
was kind
all
of
over the place. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
It's not what you
yeah, it
expect.
is, yeah.
When you got the lowrider on here as well, and then you've got a song called Arse Itch.
Arsich,
That's and
that's the best
Adidas
track.
as well. Like
Yeah.
Oh, Adidas was great.
they were kind of like messing around a little bit, having a bit more fun, but you wouldn't have got that vibe when they released Good God as the first single.
Oh, mate, Good
Nah,
God is
good.
one of my favourite Korn songs.
Yeah,
That
same.
fucking rip, that breakdown in it, mate.
It's so
Oh,
good,
yeah.
mate.
And No Place to Hide as well.
So heavy.
No Place to Hide. Oh no, that might have been the first
Do,
single.
do,
No-
do, 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 do,
do.
And when it just comes in, fucking hell, mate. Life
Yeah,
is
I really
Peachy.
like Life is
It's,
Peachy, man.
it's my favourite Korn album. I know it's controversial, but
That
I
is
just
really
like
controversial.
I like the silliness of it. And I just think it's
You're a silly man, Def, aren't you?
I'm
Yeah,
a
he is a
silly
bit.
man. Yes, I'm a silly man, and I like Life is Peachy's B, man.
Oh, brilliant. An album that isn't silly, Cradle of Filth released their
God,
second
yes,
album,
mate.
Dusk and Her Embrace. So this was like the debut album's great, but this is a massive step up, like production wise, especially. Kit Walven, who worked with Thin Lizzy extensively, produced this. So it's a real lush sounding record. One of my favorite albums of all time. This.
Yeah, same. I remember the first time it was the title track, wasn't it, on that classic Metal Hammer CD.
Yes, mate, it was.
I think Type of Negative Wolf Moon was on the same one, and there was a lot of the same music we were listening to, and then it was these two.
Stood out,
And
man, didn't
it
it?
was like, what is this guy screaming about? I don't know what it is, but every time I played that CD, I played that track.
Yeah, we
Why
chatted
am I
about this
listening?
quite a lot in the sixth form, didn't we?
Yeah, it was like, I don't get it, but I have to keep playing
Wow,
it.
it's brilliant.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you why it was brilliant, but it was sort of like,
Witchcraft,
no
mate.
no one's looking. Oh, I'll play it again.
But do you know what it had, Def? It had bits of Iron Maiden in there. It had bits
Yes.
of like stuff that we had grown up in the guitars and stuff. So musically, it hooked you, didn't it? It was just
Yeah,
getting
man.
used to the vocals. But I had the coffin box shape one of this.
Oh, wow.
I wish I still had that, man.
I mean, the 1-2 punch in it of Heaven Torn Asunder and Funeral in Carpathia is
forget that.
unbelievable, mate. And
Yeah.
then Malice Through the Looking Glass into the title track.
The title track's my favorite, man. The drumming at the end of that from Nick Barker, where he goes into that blast beat section, is just
Yeah, that
Unbelievable,
the
mate.
title track is special, man, because that was the
Yeah.
first outing for me for Cradle of Filth. So that will
Yeah.
always stick out, man.
It's such a magical record, this.
It is, mate. It's got that aura about it, isn't it?
Has got an aura, mate.
Yeah,
Yes,
man.
it has. Yeah, yeah. All the best records have.
Hmm.
So this is where we get into Daz territory then. Just
Yes.
starting to Converge released Petitioning the Empty Sky. Now I've read Daz. This is either their second album or a compilation, depending on who you speak to.
Yeah. Well,
I think
I
the
always,
band class it as a compilation.
yeah. I mean, whatever it is, mate, it's got the saddest day on it that opens up the album, and that's like one of the sickest fucking songs ever written.
Yeah, yeah.
7 minutes long as well, absolutely sadistic, with one of the best breakdowns of all time.
Yeah, that breakdown is whenever there's a best breakdowns thing, the saddest
Yeah.
day is always on it, isn't it? Like,
Yeah, man.
it always comes up.
I literally banged this on a couple of weeks ago, mate, and it's like it's bloody up there, mate. You know, it's in with a shout for like being one of the best Converge albums, even though it was released such a long time ago.
We're gonna have to do a
I've never done
Converge.
this. I've never done this.
Oh,
I'm gonna
haven't
have to
you?
do it. No, I've never done it. I'm gonna have to do it.
It's quite raw, isn't it? There,
Yes, yes,
early
very
stuff.
raw.
I
Very,
raw.
very raw.
We're gonna have to do a Converge top tracks at some point, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
It'd be
Fucking
a
great
good,
band.
yeah, good excuse. It was
And
one of the first albums on Ferret Records, I think, Daz as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah. This was just about the time where like Ferret started picking up
Mm.
like loads of fucking sick hardcore bands and stuff like that. And then obviously later on they sort of signed Killswitch and stuff, didn't they, for their
Yeah.
first like sort of EP or whatever you want to call that. So yeah, it was a good time. Good
Yeah,
time in
man.
history.
And talking of sick hardcore bands, Earth Crisis released their second album, Gomorrah's Season Ends. This for me is this is in the top 3 hardcore albums of all time for me. And it's like hardcore. This is like the definition of metalcore to me, this record.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. I think going back to the Metal Hammer CDs again, I think Constrict was on one of them.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
And I remember hearing that and it literally blew my mind. So I was like, right, need to get this record. And this is a greatest of all time record for me as well. Like if we revisit it and we do a top 40, this is in mine, hands down.
Like spin kicking its way straight in.
You can't even describe this. This is a totally unique sounding album in production, riffs, everything. Nothing else sounds like this record. It's fucking unbelievable, man.
Yeah, they were definitely they're like one of those like kind of cult bands as well.
Yeah.
You know, got a very, very strong following, ain't they?
Yeah. And there's another album later on. This one had such an impact that we'll get into the later one after. But
yeah.
Right, so let's move into death metal now then. So normally we start with this, but
wow.
This 1996 is an insane. You're looking at these releases. In Flames released The Jester Race, their second album.
Oh,
fucking yes, mate.
Their first with Anders on Vox. Like the legacy of this album is just undeniable at this point, isn't it? It's literally just one of the greatest death metal albums ever recorded.
Yeah,
yeah,
100%.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, does anyone not think that at this point?
No, you never hear or see any sort of dissenting voices when this album comes up in conversation. It's just like worldwide, universally acclaimed as being one of the best ever, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah.
And when you got an opener like Moonshield, mate, still gives me goosebumps, mate. It does. Still do it now.
And the album artwork as well is amazing.
Oh, it's wicked, mate.
Yeah,
it's
such a
good.
fucking incredible cover that is.
Yeah,
that's the first time the Jester head came up, wasn't it? First time it appeared on an album cover. But yeah, this was like a school day special as well. I remember seeing Artifacts of the Black Rain on Headbangers Ball.
Fucking yeah, that was I saw it as well.
I was like, literally fell in love with that song. Got the album, and it's just been, again, it's a GOAT album.
Yeah, same, man.
Would this be in yours now, Daz? Is this like
What,
one of your
top 40?
one of your all-time favorite albums now, or which?
Fucking, it's too, because my pick for nostalgia purposes would probably have to be either Horacle, Colony, or Clayman.
Oh yeah, because
Just
you got
because
into them at that point.
That was the point,
Right. Okay.
you know. And the choosing between those three would be fucking damn near impossible. In all honesty, like, you know, I would record it. It'd be Horacle, and then I'd be like, "Fucking hell, we need to re-edit that bit because now it's Colony," you know, and it would just never end.
But that run of albums, man, is just untouchable, isn't it?
Flawless, mate. It's absolutely fucking flawless, mate. They're untouchable, man. Kings.
Yeah. Talking about untouchable, flawless kings, Cryptopsy released None So Vile, another second album. Fucking hell, that's like the last 7. But again, just like the Jester Race, in terms of technical death metal,
Oh, forget
just
about it.
It might be the most influential.
I think so. Like, I think if we're talking death metal with that technical edge, None So Vile, it is the blueprint for anyone. Yeah. I mean, just those first 3 tracks on here is a fucking masterclass in how to do proper technical death metal.
Yeah.
It still holds up today as well. Like, it's so fucking heavy. Like, it's just so...
It's so clever. It's so clever with,
you know...
It's ridiculous, mate.
I mean, it's got the technicality, but you can see where, like, bands like Sanguisugabog and that get their brutal death metal sort of style is in here as well.
Yeah. That's it.
You know,
like, nearly 30 years on, it's still like bands.
Still sounds fresh now.
Yeah. Unreal album, unreal legacy. Another band that released an album and then disappeared, Carcass, released Swan Song, their 5th album, the last one for 17 years. And the last one to feature Ken Owen on drums.
Were people mad about this one?
Oh boy, were they, Taz?
boy, so mad.
It kind of feels like this album was a little bit cursed from the beginning, because I think this was supposed to come out on a major label. I think they were like due to sign to Columbia, and shit just got held up with legal blah blah blah, and they ended up going back to Earache. But like, it's a very different sounding album, obviously, but like we've said before, where do you go after Heartwork? Like, you can't do that again. So I think it's a natural progression from that album. So
they couldn't do it 3 times in a row. They've done it with Necroticism.
Yeah,
they did it with Heartwork. Something had to give, you know what I mean? And Swan Song, it didn't happen, but it's still a very good album.
Yeah, it is, mate.
It's still a very good album, but it's always going to be compared to
that's
Heartwork, and it had no chance.
But to go away for 17 years and then come back with Surgical Steel was like a
one of the greatest comebacks.
Well, there you go. See, if they followed up Heartwork with Surgical Steel, we wouldn't be having that conversation.
Yeah, but I don't think they would have done that at the time. So
of course not.
Yeah, it was like Swan Song was the natural finishing point, wasn't it, for Carcass 0.10. So I had the Brain Shape CD of this.
Cool. My mate had that. I remember seeing the Brain Shape CD.
Yeah, I wish I had that again. Bloody hell, mate. The CDs have sold down the years.
Along with Parts of Your Soul.
Oh, yeah, every time you sell one, doesn't it? Like, it's
just like it's like a fucking Horcrux, isn't it? It's a bit of you,
mate. So next 2 albums are intrinsically linked by one man. So Cannibal Corpse released Vile, their 5th album, their first with Corpse Grinder, of course, after Chris Barnes had left. Their last with Scott Burns as well, on the old knobs. Where do you rate Vile in sort of their
It's quite low down for me, mate. I'll tell you that. Is
it?
Yeah, big time.
It's not
a good album.
It's not in the conversation, is it? It's
not for me, mate. But you know, I see all these discussions going on social media all the time. There isn't a wrong answer for anybody.
No,
But it does surprise me that a lot of people would consider this the best
yeah.
album that they've
There are
done. I think that's
there's
fucking
a
crazy.
lot there's a lot better albums than
Oh
Vile.
God, yeah. I
It's a
A
mean,
real
lot
it
like
better.
is.
Devoured by Vermin is a tune.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
Mummified in Barbed
fantastic,
Wire,
man.
This,
Yeah,
yeah, Disfigured is a tune. Like
Bloodlands, yeah.
they get better
yeah, that's it. They
with
just
Corpse
become
Grinder,
more and
but
more efficient, a
yeah,
more efficient killing machine, mate.
it's a
As
definitely
years go
good
on.
good first opening salvo. And of course they changed logo as well for
Yeah,
this era because
Yeah.
old Barnsley designed
there's
the original
fucking
one.
there's people out there that won't listen to anything past, you know,
Oh yeah, I
the
know, mate.
bleeding or whatever. Like if it's not Chris Barnes, like I'm not listening to
Do
it.
you know
Even
what?
after all this time, it's just like you're fucking insane, dude.
Do you know what, mate? I bet they do. I bet they do listen
Yeah,
to
they
them.
got it. It's just
It,
got to be
yeah, it's all
gotta be.
fronting,
It's
isn't it?
like
Why
me
would
with
you love death metal and not
exactly.
Yeah,
want
It's
to
like
listen
exactly.
to the
it's like me with
that,
Cradle of Filth,
you
you know
know?
what I mean? No one's looking, I'm playing it. Oh no, I haven't listened to it. I didn't.
Yeah,
I promise I'm
Same
not.
thing.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it. You didn't hear screaming. You didn't. Yeah, they do, mate. You know they fucking do.
Yeah. Um. So whereas Corpse Grinder began with Cannibal Corpse, Monstrosity released Millennium's second album, their last with Corpse Grinder on vocals. Um. A real like much like Cryptopsy's None So Vile in the technical death metal world. This is a real like landmark record. It's a real great record. Terrible album cover, but
It's
um,
shit.
yeah, with the fucking Easter eggs or whatever they are on.
Oh, bloody
But
hell.
yeah, Monstrosity Millennium is a great album. Of course, so good that Robbie Williams covered it later on.
I knew that had to come up. I knew that had to come up. It had to. It was too easy.
Immolation released Hereinafter, their second record. Daz, you chucked this one in.
Yes. I mean, it has to go in, doesn't it? There's no way we're getting through this without talking about Immolation.
No chance, mate.
No chance. Could have been Dawn of Possession. I feel like a lot of people think this one's their best album here
I
and
was going to
after.
say, I'm going to ask you the question again, lads. Where would you rate this one in their back canon?
It's high, like top 3 or 4, definitely top 5. You know, because I think Close to a World Below, Unholy Cult, like probably here and after, like they're interchangeable. But like again, like Majesty and Decay, that's fucking well high as well
Majesty
on
and
a lot
Decay
of
is
the
my
time.
favorite one.
Yeah, it's so good. And Atonement's fucking wicked as well.
Oh yeah, Atonement's
Atonement's
awesome,
like
mate.
top 5. It's so hard.
Atonement's my favourite.
Yeah.
Atonement's
Oh,
my
okay.
one. With
Where would
Yeah.
you put this? Where would you put this, Steph? In
I
that
would
top
I would
Champions
say
League?
I would say it's top of the Europa League, fifth, I would say.
Okay.
I'd say just misses the top 4.
Oh, a bit like fucking Tottenham then. So this,
This
so
is
this
the
is like
Tottenham of Immolation's discography.
Europa League spot.
If Tottenham were hard as fuck.
No, that's fair, man.
Yeah.
Immolation, I'm familiar with the back catalogue, but they're a band I need to dig into more. But when there's so much music like all the time, it's difficult, isn't it? So,
Absolutely.
Crowbar released Broken Glass, moving away from death metal now. Their fourth album, the first Crowbar I ever heard this. I remember the title track being on Headbangers Ball. This is my favorite Crowbar album just for that reason, because it's the first one.
Yeah, always is, man. It's always got sentimental value in it.
Tell you what though, what a fucking band.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember Oddfellows Rest was just the album that I always saw lying around anybody's house that I went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, great band, isn't it?
Oh mate, I've over the last couple of years really like dug it into that back catalogue, and yeah, they're just one of the goats. You can see like their influence on hardcore and stuff now. Like all them bands are citing Crowbar as an influence. So yeah, they're just one of them bands. The more they go on, isn't it? The more their legacy just grows and grows. So Def, one of our favorite sixth form albums, mate. Fu Manchu released in
Come
search
on.
of their third album. This is a perfect 40 minutes of music, isn't it?
Yeah, this is feel good, man. This is feel good,
Summertime vibes.
mate. Get Asphalt Rising on, mate, and fuck
Ah,
me. It's just, yeah, that distorted
fuzzed
70s
up,
vibe, but with
hefty.
90s attitude. It's like
Yes, mate.
no one else can fucking do that, mate. So good.
This album
Oh,
just puts a shit eating grin on your face, doesn't it? Every time you hear it.
oh, it's so good, mate. It is feel good, but it just
Real,
makes you
yeah.
smile.
Yeah, it
It just
does.
makes, and then you
Yeah.
got I think Super Shooter, the last track. It could have come off one of the late 70s Black Sabbath albums.
Yeah, it's
That
that good, isn't it?
slow, doomy. Yeah, it's just, oh, mate, they're in a league of their own, mate. On this album, they were in a league of their own, man.
Kind of like if Black Sabbath were from California rather than Birmingham.
The
Like, do you know,
sunshine, it.
yeah,
If they had
that's it.
sunshine in their life,
Sunshine and skateboards and
yeah, mate, there'd be Fu Manchu.
yeah, Sabbath had rain and drugs. Like it's I know which one I prefer, man. Um an album, this is one of again one of my favorite albums from the 90s. Screaming Trees released Dust, their seventh album. This was Kerrang's album of the year that year. I remember it got 5Ks and I was like, well, okay then, I'll check this out. It's an absolutely fucking stunning record, this.
Yeah,
Like rock, blues, kind of folky in places, but just some of the best songs of the 90s, man. Absolutely brilliant. And then two Brit rock absolute classics here at the end. Def, how we missed off Terrorvision's How to Make Friends and Influence People.
we were,
I'll never forgive myself for that, mate.
I was distraught, mate. We done that.
I know, I nearly put out a Joe Biden statement. Like honestly apologizing. But then Def
I'm
was
sick.
like, yeah, yeah. Dear the world. But Def pointed out that their third album, Regular Urban Survivors, came out in 1996. Def, front to back, wall to wall, sing along anthems, aren't they?
Ridiculous, mate. Ridiculous. And when you got a track like Perseverance, mate,
Yeah.
get the fuck out of there, mate.
Whales and dolphins.
Yeah, so good,
Um,
mate. Did
Regular.
we see him on the end of this album when we saw him?
This
We
was
didn't-
your first show ever, mate, wasn't it?
It was this.
96, it was, mate. Yeah.
It would have been from this, yeah. Fucking hell, mate.
But
Yeah,
that's a
would.
bit of fucking law for you.
Yeah, Def's first ever show,
Bloody
man.
hell.
yeah.
In his
Terrorvision.
hometown. Well, it wasn't his hometown
now.
then,
It wasn't
but
then, but yeah, now, yeah.
look at
Good.
that set list, though. Sorry, the track listing. Celebrity hit list on there.
Celebrity hit. This was massive.
Enter Alter Ego, Hide the Dead Girl, Bad Actress. Just so
Mate.
brilliant, isn't it?
So good, mate.
So brilliant. And an album that I have put in here because I promised Gaz at True Cult Pop I would 100% mention it. Joyrider released their debut and only album, I think, Be Special. So Joyrider were from Northern Ireland. Have you ever heard this album, Def?
I have a long time ago. I couldn't remember it now, but I definitely done this.
Punk, pop, rock
Yeah.
with some of the best sing-along tunes you'll ever hear anywhere. Yeah, they would Be Special is such a great name for a record because it is special, and it's just a shame that for whatever reason it never really sort of took off for them. They had a bit of minor chart hit with I can't remember, the Rush Hour I think was the song, but yeah, Joyride Be Special, really really cool album. Right, so that takes us then into 1997. Titanic, Jurassic Park: The Lost World, and Men in Black were the year's biggest films.
Men in Black. I remember seeing Men in Black. Like, swear to God, I reckon easily was one of the films I've seen the most in the cinema. I just remember going back to the cinema like 10, 11, 12 times to see that film. I was obsessed with it. I loved it.
That's what people were doing with Titanic. That's all
Yeah.
you saw in the news. People going to see Titanic for the 8th time in the cinema
Oh my God.
when it first come out. And it's like, what? It's like fucking 3 hours long. What are you doing?
Yeah, and you know what happens at the end anyway.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
great
I mean,
film.
at
It is a
this
good
at this
film.
time, like I was like, what, 11?
Bloody hell.
You know what I mean? Like I was 11, like so this was like I was well into it, and like the fucking cockroach guy scared the fuck out of me because he's a big
Yeah, yeah,
stretchy face and
Yeah,
that, you know.
yeah.
So I
yeah.
was like, you know, and the little fucking aliens
Pug.
and
It
that,
was the
I
pug in
was
it.
cracking up.
There's
Yeah,
the
the
talking
pug,
pug, but it's
everything about
talking
it. It
pug.
was yeah, it was like prime sort of, you know, maybe 10 to
That age
15 year
group,
old
it
Proper
would have
great
been,
kids
it
age.
would have
film,
been
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, it would
Yeah.
have
great
been a
kid films.
great film to
Yeah,
see. Yeah.
great film.
South Park and Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, premiered on telly for the first times.
I remember South Park when that premise, massive thing about it. It was like the
Um,
going to be the next big thing.
And it was.
I know
It
South Park
was.
was much earlier. I think it was the film was 97, wasn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, the
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
film was
yeah. I was going to
97.
say, yeah.
What a great film that was as well.
Fucking
Yeah.
great
Satan and
film.
that.
Shut your fucking
Absolute.
face, Daz.
Oh my God. So good. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
I think that was the last time my dad went to the cinema, 1997. Notorious B.I.G. was killed.
They're still talking about that now. They're still going through.
Yeah, it's mental, isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Did they get the killers? Did someone else do it? Blah, 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 blah. And you think, fuck me.
Yep. And the UK ruled the airwaves because Spice by the Spice Girls and Be Here Now, Oasis, were the biggest selling albums of the year. We will, spoiler, 100% be talking about Be Here Now when we do our non-metal, best non-metal albums ever. So,
And 100% talking about Spice. Non-metal.
is that in your death, is it?
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything. Could be.
So Rammstein then released how do you pronounce this?
Sure.
Sensucht,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I say it.
their second album. Was this the point you got into Rammstein, Daz?
Yeah. Yeah. I remember my friend had this CD and Engel was one of the first songs I'd heard. And then of course, like, you know, they got Walk Dish. That was like
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
Family Values.
Yes.
What was that? Was that 99, the Family Values
Yeah.
VHS?
Family
Yeah.
Values for 99, yeah.
So, you know, that was about it. So yeah, the Engel, what other song is on here? I think that's probably about it actually. Du Hast, of course, that was the other big
Dude
one.
Hast is fucking
Massive,
huge.
wasn't it?
You know, so I mean, Engel was just fucking great with the little keyboard bit.
Yeah.
I loved that. It blew my mind, man. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, it took me a while to get into Rammstein, but this is a fucking great record, this. Only album entirely in German to be certified platinum in the US as
I
well.
remember when I first heard them, I was just like, why are they fucking like I've never heard anything like it. Like, why is it all German? Just
That's it.
never
It
heard anything
really
like it.
throws you, doesn't it, the first time you hear it?
But like it's still he still had like a real good way of like is it not like rhyming as such, but you know what I mean? Like the song
Yeah, the
had that
way
sort
the
of
words flow, it
yeah,
still
Yeah.
feels natural, doesn't it?
yeah, it still felt natural, and it's weird because you know German as a language doesn't necessarily feel like that.
No, it's true. Yeah, yeah, it's very true.
So it was very, very it was really interesting because I mean at that time I was doing German in school, so I knew I was being taught German, and it was
Yeah.
fucking rough to get your head round.
Oh,
But yeah,
mate,
it was,
I could not grasp that language whatsoever in school.
you
I
know,
was like,
so the fact that Till could manage to do that, like you know, deliver these songs in a way where they were catchy and like they'd rhyme and you know they'd stick in your head because of
Yeah,
that
yeah,
reason,
yeah.
but and they still made sense, I suppose. Unless you translate them into English, then it might sound a little bit back to front, but whatever.
that's why I wouldn't want to read them in English.
No, you don't. You can't. Takes away the magic, mate.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, yeah. So the album I mentioned earlier, there was one of the 90's most controversial. The Prodigy released Fat of the Land, their
Oh,
third album.
great.
Firestarter. Every fucking middle-aged woman who saw that, or man, saw that on Top of the Pops. That was one of the most the BBC had the most complaints, didn't they? Massive record amount of complaints because that video was on Top of the Pops. I remember it.
Which one was it? Was it Firestar or
Firestar.
was it?
Firestar in the tunnel.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
tunnel one, yeah.
The tunnel.
Why was that controversial?
Because he looks like a fucking freak, doesn't he? He looks
He's
like
like headbang. He's
he's like
headbanging away.
headbanging and going nuts in that tunnel and like sticking his tongue out, and he's like,
Yeah.
it was.
Have you heard the clip of that like that's going around of him in the tunnel without any music.
Yeah.
That's insane, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, it blew my fucking mind.
But yeah, that was when Top of the Pops aired that video in '97. That like that they were inundated with complaints about it, saying it was not suitable for like pre watershed TV and all this stuff.
Okay, well, that's insane. I didn't know that. So
Didn't
that's
you?
crazy.
Oh,
I mean,
okay. Yeah,
to
it was
look at, like,
hugely
shock factor.
controversial.
Yeah, because look, right, that's a thing, obviously, but I would have thought Smack My Bitch Up would have been the one that
Oh
was
yeah, but
like
they
real
weren't
quick.
shouting that on Top of the
No,
Pops.
that's and that
they
was
were
after
they were
Watershed,
if
weren't
they
it?
were show
The
if they were
video.
showing the video, it was a
That's
very
true.
edited version of it.
That's true. Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, I guess he must have just like scared people.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It
He
caused
was a very
mass
strange looking guy, wasn't he? Like,
Prodigy's yeah, the story. Yeah, there's a good story from it caused mass controversy upon its release. So yeah, it really booted up. But what a record! The Fat of the Land is
Great
like,
album. Great
I
album.
think it's probably my favorite. I think I'd take this over Jilted Generation because this was the album that I went in on them with, even
yeah, of
though
course.
I'd heard Voodoo People on that. But even Minefields on there's a banger.
The whole thing
Was
Diesel
that on
Power.
Minefields was on Matrix, wasn't it?
I think it was, mate.
Soundtrack.
Yeah.
I think Minefields is on
Right.
like Serial Thriller is the one, mate. That is as metal as you can fucking get, man.
That's it, man. This album was like a bit like Cypress Hill and Black Sunday. This one was like really adored by a lot of the metal fans, wasn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's hard as nails, this record.
It is, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And he looks like he'll knock 10 shades of shit out of you as well, didn't he, old Flint?
They look like
He got
punks,
hold of
didn't
you in
they,
that
at this
subway.
point?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, big
I
time.
mean, but then you look at the Breathe video in it's like proper gothy, isn't it? With the fucking eyeliner and stuff like that. It's man.
Yeah. Just in the UK, this felt like a huge like cultural moment, this record.
Yes.
I think the Experience is still my favorite.
Experience is
just
because it's a
remember-
one-off, innit? Experience
Yeah, like-
is Prodigy, how they
Experience.
started. They did it once,
In the
and then that was
warehouses.
it. They did it what? Yeah.
Again,
It-
we'll get into all three of those Prodigy albums when we do the
My God.
Yeah.
Yes.
because I ain't picking between the three of them, mate. So
No.
Yeah. You don't have to as well because it's our show.
If we
We'll
all
do
pick
Exactly,
one each,
mate.
if we all pick one each, then we're happy. innit?
Yeah,
Exactly.
that's
Yeah.
it.
We all pick
That's-
one each. That's it. Done.
I've picked all
That's
three,
what,
mate.
that's
So
what we
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
do anyway in the chat.
Yeah,
We're just
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
right,
You
well,
take this one.
You take that. Yeah, we'll do that with
We'll
Prodigy,
just
mate. They
do
deserve it.
Yeah, of course they do. Yeah.
Metallica released Reload, the follow-up to 96's Load. The last to feature Jason Newsted on bass. I know these are like a dual album, Steph, but this one does feel a little bit like
Off it.
maybe like the ones that didn't make Load. It's always felt a little bit like that to me. I know that's not what it was, but it's a good album. But
it's a good album, but it doesn't hit like Load did. I mean, Fuel is still a fucking amazing. They still play it in the live sets.
Memory Remains is a banger.
It's a great track. Unforgiven 2 is fucking brilliant.
There's some real good moments on here, isn't there?
There's moments, when the Wild Things Are is really underrated. Prince Charming.
Prince Charming's a great song.
Yeah, but then it's just
couple of moments that don't quite hit the mark, isn't there? Like Better Than You and Bad Seed as well, maybe, but it's still a good
album.
record.
Yeah,
absolutely. Foo Fighters released The Color and the Shape, their second album, and essentially this is the album where they just blew up into the band that was going to take over the world, wasn't it?
Like you said on the debut, innit? They had the laugh with the debut, see what they could get, realised, hang on a minute, we could probably do a band at now. And that's what they did with Colour and Shape. More completely different, anthemic.
Oh, it's a
very
brilliant album. This.
It's Monkey Wrench. It's massive.
So I've never really gone in on like their albums, like as in full albums. So just
the
checking
early
out.
the early ones, mate. Especially the first two, mate.
First three, I've for me
Yeah.
are brilliant. But this
Was-
one does is
We're just checking out the track listing, like My Hero, right?
You've heard My
and
Hero.
Everlong.
You've heard
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, of course I have, but
Yeah.
like they
Huge.
sound like they were done in
Net like 10 years
like
ago.
10 years ago.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did think that. And that it's just actually kind of blown my mind because I was like, fucking hell, My Hero and Everlong, like with this
Yeah, I
long
know.
ago.
in 3 years'
know,
time,
mate.
mate. Everlong will be
Wow.
30 years old.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And
No
it sounds
way.
like a new tune, isn't it? It sounds
I
like it
can't
could get
believe
released
that, mate.
today.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I honestly thought that Everlong was on a lot later album because
Ah,
it started hitting the airwaves like well, it hasn't been on the fucking radio since then, has it? Or
mate,
has it?
I don't. It's
Mate, never come off the
it-
radio.
yeah,
Well,
I
it kind
don't
of
think it's,
hasn't. It kind of feels like
no,
that.
it's been an ever-present song.
Shit.
But Daz,
Wow.
if you're gonna honestly do this album in full, mate, it is unbelievable. This record,
Which is the one with the gun on it? The golden gun thing
that's
on
the
it or
debut.
whatever.
That's the debut.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
debut and this are essential.
Okay.
Up in Arms is a brilliant song. There's some real like heavy bangers on here, isn't there? Def as well, just
Yeah.
like My Poor Brain.
Just fucking tune.
Wind Up is a great tune as
Yeah.
well, and it yeah, it's just a
So
brilliant,
good, mate.
yeah. You'll love this, Daz. Honestly, it's
Right,
great.
I'm added up for
Yeah,
tomorrow.
man.
Go on,
Yeah,
Def.
yeah.
Sorry, I was probably giving a clue for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah.
My finger slipped.
Dexter was like, yeah, all right, enough. Let's talk about my record, man. Ixnay on the Ombre from The Offspring, their fourth album. A very worthy follow-up to Smash, I think this.
Yeah, it was always going to be difficult, but this still hits the mark, man. So good, mate. Classic Offspring sound.
Yep. Still got massive bangers all over this, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean the one I was just playing, All I Want. It was
Oh,
a
look,
fucking.
that is
That was all. I always used to see the music video for that. Gone Away was huge.
yeah, Meaning of Life is a great
Meaning of
tune.
Life, yeah, mate. Unbelievable album.
Gone Away was massive, wasn't it?
Gone Away was huge. Yeah,
All I Want, I think, was on The Simpsons Crazy Taxi game.
yes,
So it used to
yes, it
replay
was.
over and
Yes,
over again.
it was.
Game that was.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's a great game, that, isn't it?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Mate, Crazy Taxi in general was a great game. But the Simpsons version was wicked.
Oh, I'd love to play a bit of that again.
Well, get an emulator, mate. Easy.
We have to have a little retro game night, lads.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Play
can
some
do
Crazy
it over
Taxi.
the old
yes,
fucking
we could do that.
Yeah, we could do.
laptops. Yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
Deftones released their second album, Around the Fur. We spoke about this on the Deftones top tracks episode, so we won't go too much into it. But again, like I feel like this was the start of Deftones
This is-
sound that they took.
Yes, Adrenaline was
One
one off. Around the Fur was where they would go
Live.
from here on. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Especially track like My Own Summer and Be Quiet and Drive. Their classic Deftone sound album that you would have in 5 albums time. They
That's
still fit on there.
that's it, mate. Yeah. Another second album from another band following up a huge debut was Machine Head with The More Things Change. Yeah, Def has got the shirt on. So their first album with Dave McClain on drums and their last with Logan Mader. This is a great record. This is up in their top 3 Machine Head albums for me. No question, man.
Yeah, 100%, mate. We saw
Oh.
them on this tour, didn't we, Jim?
We
Back
did,
in the
bruv.
day,
Yeah,
didn't we?
with was it in Cold Chamber and
Napalm Death.
Napalm Death supporting?
Yeah,
That
fucking
is
mental.
isn't it?
Mental.
Yeah, man. But yeah, this 10-ton hammer into Take My Scars.
into Struck a Nerve. Struck a Nerve is like the
Fucking that's
fast
like fucking New York hardcore.
mate. It's unreal. Oh god, mate, what a fucking out! I love this album.
Oh,
mate.
I love this, man. The last track, Blood of the Zodiac's one of
Yeah,
the best
Blood
songs
is-
they ever
yeah.
wrote as well.
Yeah,
Bay
Oh.
of Pigs is a banger.
yeah,
Another hardcore song,
Yeah.
isn't it?
yeah. Violate.
Great
Yeah.
record, man. Rob had a skinhead by this point, looked hard as fuck.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
This was his skinhead windbreaker days, wasn't it? Good look. Strong
Yeah.
look
It's a
all
strong
round,
look,
man.
mate. That is, yeah.
For a
Classic,
strong album.
timeless look, mate.
Yeah. Cold Chamber,
Talking to them.
getting into some new metal, released their debut record on Roadrunner. I believe they were recommended to Roadrunner by Dino, weren't they, from Fear
Yes.
Factory? Def, we went up to Tower Records, or no, it was Virgin, wasn't it?
Virgin Meg was it Virgin
Virgin
Megastore?
Megastores. Yeah, yeah, in
That's it.
London to get
Yeah,
this CD signed, didn't we?
we did. We queued pretty much all day. It felt like all day.
Mm.
And yeah, we were buzzing, man.
Got
We
this.
fucking loved this album. And going to see that Machine Head tour, talking about
I
that,
saw them
Cold
live. Yeah.
Chamber were playing these tracks.
Yeah.
Because this was the album that was out.
Yeah. We got our tickets signed by Des, didn't we? In the bar at the
saw him in the-
Astoria afterwards, didn't we?
It was afterwards. Yeah, yeah.
He's only about 3'2", isn't he?
Yeah, I was fucking taller than him. That
Yeah.
says it all.
It was
Where are
rough.
you?
He's
Fucking hell.
fucking yeah. He's short as anything. He fucking come. He was standing on top of the stairs, and everyone was just giving the teams coming back. And then he got off the stairs, and it was like, where the fuck's he gone?
He was standing by a table, wasn't he? So we just
That's
went
it.
over and we were like, Des, hello, Mr. Fafara. Would you mind signing our tickets?
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
he just
man.
signed the ticket.
Yeah, quality.
I mean, Loco was a fucking bit of a banger, wasn't it?
Loco. Sway's the one on here.
Sway, yeah,
Sway's the
good.
one. Yeah,
Sway's the
truck's
one,
good.
man. When
Sway is the one.
when Sway kicks in, the roof, the roof.
that's yeah.
Yeah,
That went.
yeah,
What I remember that this story went fucking nuts to that, man.
Yeah. I love this album so much. I named my son Bradley after one of the tracks.
Ooh.
Well,
I did.
the
I didn't-
law doesn't stop. I was going
I
to say,
didn't
there's no
really,
way
mate.
you did that. That's insane.
He'd be
That is
fucking,
insane.
He would be livid if he heard
He's
that.
on the phone now. What
many
the fuck are you
people
going on
listen to
about?
this.
What the fuck are you talking
Take me
about?
down the
Many
depot
people
office.
listen to this, mate. Would be like, what the
Fucking
fucking
named
hell's
after a
going on?
Cold Chamber song.
Oh my god, dude.
That's
funny.
Hatebreed released their debut. Satisfaction is the Death of Desire. My number one hardcore album of all time. This.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah.
Nothing touches this for me, man. This is the GOAT.
What? Not even Marauder,
No.
Master Killer.
This is the fucking GOAT.
What I have in my heart.
Mate, Mark My Words is the track for me. For the rest of your fucking life, you will. Like, where that, mate, you could spin kick a house down. Like, this record is the greatest, man. Like, Victory
Yeah, it
Records
is, it
was
is.
sick back in them days, wasn't
Yes, it was, mate. Victory Records, when I was kind of heavily into like hardcore and stuff, was the label.
it? It was the one, wasn't it?
Yeah, with the little dog, like the
Yeah,
bulldog
yeah,
and that.
yeah.
Yeah, they had this insane roster. We should do like a Victory Records episode.
Yeah, we could do, man, because they kind of went to shit, didn't they?
They definitely did go to shit. I don't know what happened because I kind of
Mate, it's kind of a bit like Earache.
Yeah.
yeah.
Like the way they started signing like bands that had nothing to do with what they started out in. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, like we might as well do this next one. I'll skip forward a couple then because another album that came out on Victory this year, Snapcase, released Progression Through Unlearning, their second album, the tightest snare in history.
Yeah.
One of the greatest fucking drum sounds in human history recorded. This is. Have you ever gone in on Snapcase, lads?
I think I've done a few bits and bobs here and there. To be fair, but not.
I have done this album. I've done a couple of bits, but not real sort of deep dive. But yeah, that
This
drum
is,
sound, mate. I mean, their band name is perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you're describing what they sound like, it's like, well, their name gives it pretty much away.
Yeah, Caboose is an all-timer.
Yeah.
Was this on Victory Records as well?
Yeah.
Okay, because like, so just quickly touch on this. 'Cause I've just brought up like the roster, right? So they had like All Out War, Atreyu, Between the Buried and Me, Blood for Blood, Boy Sets Fire, Buried Alive, which was Scott Vogel's band, like hardcore band. So you got Carnifex, Comeback Kid, Counterparts, Damnation AD, Darkest Hour, A Day to Remember, Dead to Fall. Fuck me.
So it's a bit up and down, wasn't it? Musical. It wasn't like the same.
Yeah, they had Hatebreed, Hoods, The Hurt Process, Hawthorne Heights. Thursday, they had Terror, Taproot, Taking
'cause
Back
it kind of
Sunday.
started out. It was kind of very hardcore leaning at first, and then they progressed off into like a lot of like metalcore and bits and bobs, didn't they? But it's like
That
those two.
Madball, mental.
those two albums, man, Hatebreed and Snapcase are just all timers for me. That's just absolutely brilliant.
I'll add it up, mate.
Oh, it's a great album. That's Caboose. You'll be like, what the fuck? That was one of my daily bangers recently, Caboose.
Yeah.
Caboose,
Great
loose
track.
in this
Fucking
house.
tune.
That's a Caboose. Loose. Staying in that more sort of punk world then for the next three. Green Day released Nimrod, their fifth album. Very diverse, very experimental record. Written as standalone tracks, this rather than they wanted to write an album not as a one piece. They wanted to write each track to sound
Yeah.
completely sort of. It's a really cool record though, Def, isn't it?
I like Nimrod.
Yeah.
I do. I think it's really good. And they name a town in Hertfordshire in one of the tracks, Hitching a Ride.
Oh yeah. Grouch is one of my favorite Green Day songs as
Yeah,
well.
Grouch is fucking tune, man.
Yeah, if you can't vibe with like I was a young boy that had big plans, now I'm just another shitty old man. Like you can really you really feel those lyrics, do you know what I mean? Two of my favorite albums of the 90s that probably maybe 7 people will have heard. 59 Times the Pain released 20% of my hand. This came out on Burning Heart Records, who were a really fucking cool like punk label back in the day. This is Swedish hardcore / punk. I remember the song Can't Change Me. You saw it on MTV too. And it did change me because this is now one of my favorite albums ever. Honestly, if you're into hardcore, you're into punk, and you've not heard 20% of my hand by 59 Times the Pain, get on it. Honestly, it's an
I haven't heard this. I'm going to do this after the show.
It's an all-timer, mate.
Oh,
it's
mate,
an absolutely brilliant record. And Shelter, we spoke about on the last one, released Beyond Planet Earth.
Great album.
Yeah, first I think it was Revealed in Reflection, or I Know So Little. Was on one of their Metal Hammer CDs again, Def.
Yeah.
God, those days were invaluable, weren't they? Their Metal Hammer.
That's what we had because we didn't have like internet and
mate, they were
stuff like that.
Kiddies.
That was the only way you were going to find out if you liked a band, but they had to pick the right song because they could have picked a dud song on one of those CDs. And like you said, you could have bought it, paid 15 quid for the CD and been like, what the fuck have I done? It's only got one track on it, like decent. So it was a risk. It always
hit
was.
Rate was high though, wasn't it, for them?
It were. They always picked the bangers, and you knew straight away if you liked it.
Yeah, I think Burn Their Lies from Satisfaction was on one of them as well. It's the first Hatebreed song I heard as well. So they were invaluable, man. Them.
Yeah, they were, mate.
Misfits released American Psycho, that their fourth album, first without Glenn Danzig. Michael Graves, obviously, he's a human turd now, but like his performance on this and another one we'll get into in 1999, Famous Monsters. These are great records.
These the Graves era, mate, it's fucking great.
It's brilliant, mate. No fronting.
He doesn't try to be Glenn.
No,
he is his own thing, and it fucking worked. I mean, dig up her bones. Come on, man.
Bon Stone have covered it. It's that good. Like,
it's so good, man. Speak of the Devil is fucking mate. The chorus in that, get the fuck out of here, man.
It's a great record.
Crimson Ghost. It's just incredible, mate. The whole album.
These albums were kind of produced like metal records, aren't they? So they're not. The early Misfits stuff is quite ramshackle punk DIY. These are like
thick. There's thick
feel like
sounds
thick metal records, don't they?
Yeah.
Fucking great record, this, man.
Yeah.
Right then, so into some darker territory here then. Emperor released Anthems to the Welking at Dusk, their second album. Your favourite Emperor album, Daz?
Yes. Yeah, it is. It is. I think In the Night Side Eclipse is iconic. And then, it's hard, and it's like being asked to pick between your two kids, probably, if that.
I hear you, man.
But I just think that their sound on here was more realized. I think the songs are better on here, and I think the production's like obviously way better. I just think it's a better album. It's bigger and better. Thus spake the night spirit. fucking With Strength I Burn. Ooh,
That
Ye
is a great
Entrance
record.
Superium. Fucking hell, mate. Like it's all just unbelievable, mate.
I'd love to see them do that anniversary show for this record.
Yeah,
Mm.
same.
I really would. Um, I didn't know, even though he'd been brown bread for a few years by this point, Euronymous was named on the writing credits of this
Oh
record.
wow.
I think it's the
Blimey.
first or the second track. The riffs from a unreleased Mayhem song.
Oh,
So,
okay,
Wow.
blimey.
so yeah, Euronymous is on the writing credits for that, which I did not know. Dimmu Borgir released Enthroned Darkness Triumphant, which is their third album, an absolutely masterful piece of symphonic black metal. This a real standout in that genre. On Nuclear Blast, this like those early Dimmu albums.
Oh, I listened to this today.
Oh, it's a
Weirdly.
masterpiece, mate.
Fucking
This,
hell, mate, so good.
yeah,
Yeah, it's early Dimmu, untouchable, mate.
it
Yeah, they
is
were,
that
mate.
those from I like Stormblast, but like from Enthrone into spiritual black dimensions into puritanical euphoric misanthropy into death cult Armageddon. What a band, man.
Death Cult Armageddon, man, is fucking
Yes.
wild, worldy. That one.
But yeah, those run of albums are, along with the like those run of Cradle albums are just
Yes, I
untouchable in
was going
that.
to say, like, I always find myself segueing in between these two. Like,
Yeah.
Cradle and Dimmu are like the perfect sandwich in it,
Hmm.
Yeah.
honestly.
Absolutely, mate. And talking of perfect sandwiches, In Flames released Horacle, their third
Oh my
album, which
God.
was of course sandwiched between Jester Race and Colony. So
Yeah, yeah.
um I,
Oh,
I didn't realize this was a concept album until I was
okay.
reading about it. You'd have to go and read about the concept, otherwise we'll be here all fucking night. But um Horacle is a great record.
Yeah, man.
Those that like said a million times, it's been said a million times, but that run of albums is just flawless. So this is sort of where you come in, Daz, wasn't it? Horacle
Yeah,
Colony,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. My friend had this album and Jotun, Food for the Gods, Gyroscope, fucking even
Episode
Dialogue with the Stars.
666.
Yeah, episode 666. Mate, it is a
Go
fucking
Jotun is a
whopper album.
worldy of an opener.
Jotun, mate. Oh my
Jotun is a
God.
fucking worldy of an opener.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I don't know how they did it.
No, me either, mate. Me either.
Beautiful
Because bands
album.
are still trying to do it now.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so a couple of all-time great sort of death metal, grindcore metal albums coming up next, or bands that released slightly different albums in this era. Entombed released To Ride, Shoot Straight, and Speak the Truth, their fourth album, definitely their most varied record. I
Mm.
remember Death at the time, they were tipped to be huge, weren't they?
Yeah.
A lot of people like they were the next Metallica and all this stuff when this around the time of this album. It's a very different sounding album, this.
Yeah. This is like the pure sort of death and roll sort of era, isn't it? A
Yeah, it's got
bit
some punk on there, hasn't it?
real.
And
Yeah, I really like this. Do
oh,
you rate it? I
yeah, I
really fucking
really
like.
do, mate.
I really like this album, man. Lights Out is a fucking tune, man.
Lights Out is brilliant. Damn Deal Done is a
Oh, mate,
fucking
yes.
banger. Do 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 do
Yeah,
do
it's just sick, mate. And it's incredible to think what Entomb sounded like 2 albums before, or even from the debut
Yeah,
to this.
yeah,
So varied, so different, looser sounds,
yep.
different multi-genres in there.
Well, mate,
Yeah,
look, well, like what was it, 6 years before this, they were releasing Left Hand Path. So
yeah.
they'd
Look
gone
at
through so many changes and just got not bored, but like they just wanted to progress as songwriters and do
yeah,
different things, didn't they?
yeah,
Mental. Um, Not a death. I love 90s era Napalm Death. I know
yes.
some people don't, but Inside the Torn Apart is a great record.
It's an album that doesn't really get spoken about.
No, it's like this and Diatribes just sort of tend to get looked over a bit, don't they?
Yeah, I Inside Torn Apart is fucking yeah,
Well, this
90's.
is the album we saw them on, isn't it?
Yes, this it would have been this.
When
Yeah,
they were supporting Machine Head, this had just come out, hadn't it?
yeah.
Um, I listened to this the other day, Dev. It's such a great record.
He's fucking great, mate.
It's got a
Breathe
lot
to
of groove in
breathe.
here, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Breathe to breathe, mate. Fucking worldy.
Absolute banger, isn't
Title
it?
track is wicked. Yeah.
Bit more accessible, isn't it? Bit,
Yeah, I think that's those later 90s ones. I think they had to be because that
yeah,
scum era napalm scared the shit out of people.
yeah. This was them
Because
just
this
sort of maturing as songwriters, wasn't it?
that's
And
a bad, yeah. And then they sort of ended up getting in that groove metal feel with diatribes and
this,
sort
yeah,
of moved on. Yeah, so yeah, napalm definitely very similar, like Dark Throne, isn't it? They'll do an album, maybe one or two, and then
switch it
think,
up
right,
a
we've
bit.
done that. We're switching up now. We're gonna do something different.
Yeah. Um, talking of things very different, Curb Dog released On the
God,
Turn,
bloody hell.
their second and last album, and they should have been the
We
world's biggest
always
band
say
on the
it.
back of this stuff, shouldn't they?
I remember this. I remember it. I remember doing it at the time.
Listen to it. The title track is one of the best rock songs ever written.
Yeah.
Um, huge metal riffs, but with like huge pop sensibilities, isn't there? Like
Yeah.
it's a fucking great
Very
record,
easy
man.
on the ear, isn't it?
Such a shame that things did perspired against them, unfortunately, and it never happened. But yeah, Curb Dogs on the Turn is a brilliant album. A couple of industrial sort of tinged metal albums. Strapping Young Lad released City.
Love this album.
Oh, this is
Love this album,
this
mate.
is definitely their best album for me.
Easily, mate. Easily. And you got a track like All Hell the New Flesh is
Oh
probably
my God.
the heaviest fucking track, mate.
Forget about it, Def.
And there's a track of that called Oh My Fucking God. So they know
Yeah.
this is for me. This album is for me, mate.
This is my favorite album of
Oh,
this.
mate.
Gene Hoglan on drums, just absolutely destroying everything.
Yeah.
Like it's death metal mixed with thrash metal mixed with industrial.
So heavy. It's so fucking heavy. It's unreal.
My
Yeah,
mate was like super into fucking Strapping Young Lad. I remember this album and the self-titled were the ones that were
Yeah.
just
That was after,
dominating
wasn't
the
it? Yeah, yeah.
speakers for a long time.
Yeah, so good, man.
yeah, it's a great record. This, and another band from Sweden who should have been a lot bigger than they were. Misery Loves Company released Not Like Them, their second album. Um, how do you describe this, Steph? They're like crushingly heavy industrial metal, isn't it? But they had that like dark, almost like, like new wave, new like romantic, like Duran Duran
It's
in
it's
there as like,
really, really no one's really sounded like yeah, they had that sort of yeah, I know what you
his
mean.
it's his vocals, isn't it?
It's like
Had
a
that
new
like
it's like a new romantic vocal
industrial metal. Yes, yeah.
industrial metal. It was like that, but it was just they had these slower moments, they had the faster moment,
God, when
they
they
had
went
these heavy
fast, mate.
when they went fast, mate, you couldn't get near them. But yeah, I mean, fuck me,
It's
God,
it was real dark, this record, isn't it?
very dark. I mean, the cover's dark. This is dark.
It's all yours, a million lies, prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong, man. Complicated game, fucking tune.
Taste it, imaginary gun, and them nails were.
Yeah. God,
But yeah,
what an
man. If
album.
you,
What a band.
yeah, what a band. If you've not heard Misery Loves Company, Not Like Them. If you imagine a mix of like Fear Factory, Nine Inch Nails, Godflesh, with some 80s like
Erasure.
lyric, vocally, like yeah, just absolutely unbelievable record. And Paradise Lost Death, rounding off 97, released 1 second. Their sixth album, going
Yeah,
into their electronic synth goth pop
yeah,
era.
very, very different, isn't it?
Again,
I
Tears for Fears, Duran Duran influence.
yeah, yeah, they did change it. I mean, Draconian Times was they left that on the top of the mountain.
They did.
They had to do something different,
And
and
climbed another mountain.
they climbed another mountain. Yeah, but I like this. I
It's a
like the
brilliant
album.
album, mate.
It is really good
It's a
because
brilliant album.
yeah,
They changed lanes song wise, sound wise, but they didn't change lanes quality wise.
yes,
Like the songs are
yes,
still brilliant. This is their biggest selling album as well.
really,
Yep. So a lot of people agree, Def.
bloody hell.
Um,
I remember "Say Just Words" was a fucking big tune.
huge tune,
That's
mate, wasn't it?
massive. That track.
Yep. Right then, so let's boot into 1998 then, lads. The last year for this ep. The Game Boy Color launched.
Ooh.
Saving Private Ryan and Armageddon were the biggest films of the year.
Both great films. Great films.
Saving Private Ryan, mate, a lot of it filmed in Hatfield.
Yeah.
Just
But yeah. Hatfield House, wasn't it? Around there, wasn't it?
yeah, just up the road from me, mate. Britney Spears, Drop Baby One More Time.
Ugh.
One of the biggest
The disgust.
Ugh.
pop songs of the
It
ever.
was. It was everywhere,
Ever,
wasn't it?
really.
It was everywhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ever.
The last episode of Seinfeld aired.
Very controversial, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was controversial, mate.
Very controversial.
Then they nailed that finale of Curb Your Enthusiasm, didn't they? Just going back to that was so good.
Christ, yes.
And Def's favorite band, The Cause, released the biggest selling album of the year, Talk on Corners.
That was fucking huge, that album, wasn't it?
Yeah, what a load of old shit. So into the metal world then, that's something you mentioned earlier, the Family Values tour, because Korn
Yeah.
released Follow the Leader, their third album, a huge record.
I love this album.
Yeah, me too.
It's really weird because I saw like on the CD, like you push play and it was just like nothing happened.
Nothing for ages.
For ages.
13
Yeah.
tracks.
And the 13th track was the start of the album, It's On. Why did they do that? Why did they do that?
No
It's
idea,
Korn.
mate.
Is there a story
Korn.
behind that or not? Or was it just like an error or something? I don't know. It's
Drugs,
so-
mate.
so
Gotta be
weird.
drugs. Like if you the stories around like the recording of this album are just mental, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just millions of dollars and drugs and all sorts of shit flying around
And
everywhere.
sequined Adidas tracksuits and
They were living the life, man, on there, weren't they?
yeah, of course they were, mate. I mean, I remember the video for Freak on a Leash was like mind blowing at the time. Like
Oh,
I'd
It's a
never
wicked
seen
video.
anything
It's
like
a
that in my
wicked video.
life.
It's such a good video.
You know, I mean, that must have been one of the most innovative music videos of all time.
Oh, absolutely. And when you consider the like 98, mate, like
Yeah,
it
just-
really was.
Fucking hell, mate. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Um,
great album. Got the Life.
Got
All
the
in the
Life is
Family with
wicked.
Fred
To
Durst.
get Ice Cube on Children of the Corn as well.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that and thinking, oh my God, they covered Cube in Life is Peachy, and now they've
Now
got
they've
him
got
for a
him.
track. It's like, fuck it, that blew my mind, mate, back then.
But this is like what we were talking about in the last episode, where like hip hop and metal were colliding in a massive
It was
way.
big.
They
It was
both-
big then.
It
It
was
was
like
big then, yeah.
superstars, weren't it?
Yeah, it was
Absolutely.
big.
Bash of the Titan stuff.
Yeah. You can lose all in the family though. That's a terrible fucking song. That. But it is, man. It's terrible.
It's got a special place for me.
Oh, is it?
Weirdly, yeah.
And the special place for me is in the bin, but it's
Yeah, well, you know.
the rest of the album's fucking great, man.
Yeah.
System of a Down released their self-titled debut album. One of the oddest bands to ever like blow up.
Oh my
How-
God, it was so weird.
we thought Corn were weird. Fuck me. System Down with the fucking daddies are weird.
Out weirded them.
Yeah, this is my favorite System album.
Whoa.
Oh, easily, mate. This is my favorite. This is a fucking one of the best debut albums
Well, it's
ever, man.
definitely very unique. One of the
Yeah.
most unique debut albums ever. Fucking nutty bastards.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Toxicity's seen as the great one, but like this one just I guess it was because I got it
Time,
release day, like
Yeah.
I saw them blow Slayer and Sepultura off a stage on this record. Like this one's just the one that holds a special place for me, but it's just such a great record. Rob Zombie released Hellbilly Deluxe, his
Great
debut solo album, yeah, after White Zombie split up. This outsold all of White Zombie's albums, which is
Wow.
mad, but this was a big album, wasn't it, on back then?
It was huge, yeah. It was huge, man.
He was putting on
Dracula, wasn't it? Was the big one.
Yeah.
Putting on 6 stage shows as well, that massive fucking suit that he used to wear and that, you know,
Yeah,
big
man.
stage production stuff. So
Really
Yeah,
cool
sick.
album.
Yeah.
Fear Factory released their third album, Obsolete.
yeah,
Great album.
Their biggest selling album to date.
yeah, Shock's like one of my favorite Fear Factory songs of all time.
Yeah, Shock, Edge
Well, I like
Crusher. It's like
Crusher.
kick
Edge
off with
Crusher.
those two big Mama Jama tracks, man, and like forget
Yeah.
about it. Right, two really fucking interesting ones here, lads. I can't believe we left this out, so I popped it in earlier. Sepultura and Soulfly both released albums this year. Against was Sepultura's seventh album, of course, the first out Max, Derek Green, and then within a few months of each other, Soulfly dropped their self-titled debut album, which had a sort of a more new metal direction, all sorts of guests over here, all over it. Which album are you taking in the battle of the Maxes?
I would take Soulfly.
Yeah, I would too, I think.
I would
What the-
take Soulfly.
What the first Soulfly album?
Yeah.
Over against Sepultura's against.
Yeah, oh, yeah, definitely. That's
Against
eye
was
for an eye,
good.
mate.
Yeah.
Eye for an eye for an eye.
Best guest spot ever.
Yeah, against is good. But the Soulfly's
It's like
self-titled debut is really good,
Soulfly
isn't
is
it?
more of like a continuation from in it.
Yeah, it was,
from that
yeah.
Sepultura.
Yeah,
It's
I
more
feel-
familiar for us,
Yeah.
I think. So I think that's why that sort of stands out.
But mental, innit? Just what 2 years after Roots.
Yeah.
Like it's
All
just
changed.
crazy to think about the timeline when you look back at it, man.
Yeah, man.
Cradle of Filth released Cruelty and the Beast, their third album, concept album about Elizabeth Bathory, and the last with Nick Barker on drums. Another masterpiece, man.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is, mate.
it is.
One after the other.
Yeah, mate, 13 Autumns and a Widow. Unbelievable track.
Forget it.
Oh my God. Beneath
That
the
is the
Howling
one.
Stars.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Those, yeah.
Fucking hell. How are they doing it, mate? They must have made a pact with Succubus or something, for sure.
Cruelty bought the Orchids is
Oh.
like, hear me now. That riff in that song, man. Just fucking untouchable. I know there was a lot of upset about the production at the time, and the remix and remaster is worldly. It like really how that album should have sounded. But it never ruined the album for me, man. Like it never bothered me that much. So
Nah, same.
Monster Magnet released Power Trip, their
Oh.
fourth album. One of the biggest rock albums of the 90s, Def, isn't it? This?
Yeah. Absolute fucking world, you mate.
Yeah. Gold selling, breakthrough. The title track was used on WWE's No Way Out. One of the tracks is on the Talladega Nights soundtrack.
Yes,
Like it's
yes.
just it's just such a massive. You think of like the 90s over like this is everything, isn't it? Like just rock stars, aren't they, on this record?
Yeah. Oh God, mate, so good.
Yeah. Bruce Dickinson released The Chemical Wedding, his fifth solo album. Adrian Smith on the old guitars just shortly before they rejoined Maiden Death. Is this
Great
his
album.
best solo album for you?
Oh, I think it's out of this. Oh, you know what? I don't know. I do.
We'll have that discussion.
We'll have to have to. Yeah, I really do rate this album very,
Yeah.
very highly.
Yeah, it's Hall of Fame for you, wasn't it, recently?
Yeah, it was, mate. I think, Accident of Birth, The Tattooed Millionaire, there. It's out of them three. It's out of them three. I think they're just so good, man.
Same for me, mate. Yeah. Refused released The Shape of Punk to Come, their third album, massively influential, and again broke up shortly after. Like it's mad, isn't it, how these sort of stories emerged in the 90s when you think of bands on the brink of
Stardom, like
greatness.
And then they just go. Yeah.
Was this one for you, Daz, early on? Was this like an early influential album for you? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I'm pretty sure this was on like one of the Punkorama CDs or something. Like compilation CDs. New Noise was obviously massive.
Yeah.
But other songs on there like the title track and the Refuse to Fucking Dead.
Oh, yeah.
Even the opener, Worms of the Senses, Faculties of the Skull. Wicked.
It still
What a
sounds
great
like it's
album.
from the future, this record, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah, it does, mate. I mean, this is a monumental album, isn't it? It's like a landmark
Yeah.
album. You know, it's a weird album.
Oh yeah,
It's
it
so weird.
certainly is.
It's a fucking long. Oh no, this is the deluxe one I'm looking at, but I do remember it being quite lengthy.
That's what she said.
Yeah, I'm not sure
Hey,
whether that's the case though, but
yeah,
yeah, it was a good
mass,
album. Great album.
massively influential. And Rancid followed up and Out Come the Wolves with their fourth album, Life Won't Wait. This is right up there with an Out Come the Wolves for me.
Yeah, it's still anthemic, isn't it? It's still
It's really varied as well, isn't it? There's like reggae on here with Buju Banton. There's like skiffle, like old rock and roll tracks. Like every track is completely different from the last
yeah,
one, isn't it?
yeah, yeah,
And you don't get punk bands writing hour-long albums, but this is I love Life Won't Wait, man.
yeah.
This
It's
is one of the all-time greats for me. Um, fucking hell, hardcore had a good year, lads.
Yeah.
Vision of Disorder released Imprint, their second
Oh,
album on Roadrunner.
this is up there for me, mate. This is
yeah,
Same,
one
mate.
of
This is a goat for
the.
me.
This is a
yeah.
goat for me, mate. Imprint is fucking unbelievable, man. Oh my
I mean,
god.
it's almost got like hints of sort of like I wouldn't go as far as to say Alice in Chains, but it kind of has
It
those
has,
kind of
mate.
grungy hooks. Yeah, it
It
does
Kim
have
does,
Williams'
that
mate.
in there,
vocals
really.
have
It
that.
does. They
It
do
does.
have that,
Yeah, mate. It is.
you
Yeah,
know. It's definitely got that sort of those elements in there, isn't it?
definitely. He's one of the
You know.
best vocalists from that genre. You know, like with those clean vocals, like you said, took from sort of Lane, didn't they, and gave you
Hmm.
that dark feel. Phil Anselmo on By the River as well. What a tune
Yeah.
that is. One I popped in earlier, Daz, couldn't believe we left this out. All Out War released for those who were crucified.
What a fucking album that is, yeah.
Their second album, one of the heaviest hardcore albums ever.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were a force at the time, weren't they? All Out War with this one, and I think the one after this was Condemned to Suffer. I think that's where I kind of came into them. I was listening to All Out War very, very early doors. I
Yeah.
mean, I think my first Hotmail account was Bleeding the Week, which is
Oh,
a
was
song
it?
off of the album I just mentioned. I've forgotten. uh,
This kind of almost like death metal in places, aren't they?
yeah,
All Out
yeah.
War.
It's like death metal thrash, really, weren't it? And with hardcore sort of, ethics and stuff in it. But they were a great fucking band, man. And they're still going now, aren't they? And they're fucking pretty old. I don't know how they're doing it.
Yeah, last album was sick, mate. So yeah,
Yeah.
still out there crushing it. We just spoke about them, but Earth Crisis had joined Roadrunner by this point, and released their third album, Breed the Killers. Andy Sneap produced, Rob Flynn appearing on One Against All. Like they were
Yeah.
another band that you thought were just gonna blow up into that next level, didn't you? And Breed the
And
Killers
they
is wicked, isn't it?
Breed the Killers is fucking wicked, mate. The first three tracks on here, man. Fucking yeah. End begins. Filthy hands to famished mouths. What a fucking
Yeah.
tune. The title track. I had it
Yeah.
as one of the daily bangers
Yes, you did.
recently.
Yep.
Yeah. Ultra Militants is another fucking
Hmm.
tune. Yeah. Such. Yeah. They had the world at their fucking oyster, man.
They did. Meshuggah released Chaosphere, their third album. I think this is the start of that
This is the
Meshuggah
start of
stick,
Meshuggah.
isn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is the start of the band as we come to know them in it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is where that signature sound really begins to take shape. And a UK band, Pitch Shifter, released their fourth album, the most 90s uh album title ever, www.pitchshifter.com. Like it's
Classic, mate.
mate, it's
Classic.
With
like
GOCs and stuff.
mate, ain't it mad to think like websites were so at this point like no one had them that they called their album after their one. Like it's such a fucking 90s like thing, isn't it?
Oh,
So good, man.
that's funny.
Yeah, their major label debut. There's loads of buzz about this at the time. But this is it's still a great record, this.
Pitch
Yeah.
Shifter was such a unique band, wasn't it? Back in the
Yeah,
day.
man,
They were so
mixing
unique, man.
metal and punk and drum and bass and breakbeat and all sorts of mad shit. Like microwaved subject to status. What you see is what you get. Please, sir.
Yeah,
Great tracks.
classic,
I,
mate.
I love that fucking record, mate.
I do, mate.
I know our mate Shula does as well. He's a massive
Yes.
Pitch Shifter fan, isn't he? Shula. Um, so let's finish off 1998 in this episode, then, lads, with our beloved death metal. Incantation released their third album, Diabolical Conquest. Uh,
Absolute worldie.
the only album to feature Daniel Corrado of The Chasm on
Yeah,
vocals. Is this high up in there? Would this be their number one for you
I would
boys?
say so.
Yeah, it's
You
my
would
number
too, Dan,
one.
I think. Yeah,
It's my number
yeah,
one.
it
This
is.
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
Sick. Sorry,
yeah,
John. Um,
yeah.
uh, Morbid Angel had parted ways by David Vincent by this point and released Formulas Fatal to the Flesh, their fifth album, the first with Steve Tucker on vocals. You were saying before, Death, weren't you? It's not normally the one people
I think
flock to, but it's,
everyone talks about the first four, and then I think Gateways, Formulas, Heretic are sort of in an afterthought. It's always, up to Domination, and then Gateways is very different from those first four. Formulas is very different, well, not too similar from Gateways, but they sort of progressing into this different era of Morbid Angel. But if we're talking about these new three, I
Mate,
think
Tom from Celestial Sanctuary was saying that this might be their best album. I see a
yeah,
lot of
yes,
hey,
he
it's
did.
up, mate.
there is
It's
a massive
it's
case to be had for
this
this being
this
their
would
best album.
fight. This would fight the top four
Yeah,
out of the other. I mean, I love Gateways, but Formulas has something that would match up with the top four. Those first four, sorry,
so
easily.
what we were just saying, like off air about this album, is it was just like it's kind of crazy that you know you've lost a legendary vocalist in sort of David Vincent, and then Tucker's come in on his first record.
Yeah,
And changing a frontman is obviously a really difficult thing to do anyway. Like, but he's come in, stamped his foot down and his, imprint on to the band and their sound. And this album is, a lot of people's first pick,
Mm.
which is it's astonishing, really. I think.
yeah, it's mad, mate.
I think I think it's a madness, but
And it just goes to point out the quality of the musicians in the band, doesn't it? That they
absolutely,
didn't miss a beat.
Yeah,
And I love why this album's called what it is. So obviously F is the sixth letter in the alphabet. So Formulas Fatal Flesh 666 quality.
yeah,
very clever.
very
Quality,
yes. He
mate.
just fully going into that method acting for the occult there.
Yeah, that's it. Death released their final album, The Sound of Perseverance.
Some people think this is their best one as well.
They do, mate. 1998. Obviously, sadly, Chuck wouldn't be around for much longer beyond this point. But what a fucking legacy. What a legacy they left behind, man. Yeah, it's a great record, Sound of Perseverance, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, man.
Dying Fetus released their second album, Killing on Adrenaline. This is the one, like, it's a little rough sounding, but
Yeah,
the sound of Dying Fetus was there
yeah.
already by this
And this is
point.
one that's not really spoke about as well. This album, it's
No,
not
it's
usually
not.
meant. It's not really mentioned.
I did the first couple of tracks. No, I did half of this album earlier. It's not as rough sounding as I remember it.
No.
Yeah,
It sounds a lot better than I remember it. So I'm gonna go on a little Dying Fetus deep dive. I think back. I mean, I've done them all before, but it's better than I remember. That's for
Yeah.
sure. So, but yeah, a band who didn't need any fucking time to discover their sound. Nile released their debut album Amongst the Catacombs of Nephron Car. I listened to this album again earlier. This is an absolute all-time death metal classic, this.
Yeah, this is a worldie, man.
11 songs, 33 minutes. No fat whatsoever. It's their shortest album by a margin, isn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's as you say, like to come out of the gates with an album like this is unreal.
Mate,
You know?
I listened to, like I said, I listened to this earlier, and it's one I don't go back to very much. If I'm listening to Niall, I'll normally go for one of the sort of latter mid to latter periods, but I don't know
Yeah,
why I don't go back to this one more often, which I'm gonna do because
yeah. That's it. Just do it now.
blew my mind going,
Oh.
no, blew my mind going back to this one earlier, man. And another death metal band to finish this off released their debut album, a Monomath release once sent from the Golden Hall to really debut album on Metal Blade. So Metal Blade instantly knew that this was a band destined for bigger things. The signature sound was there, but this is much more aggressive, isn't it? That their
Those
earlier
are
stuff than the latter.
earlier Monomath, yeah, had some real attitude, man.
This is like classic mellow death, isn't it? In
Yeah.
that In Flames, that kind of world. This is like a mellow death standout record. This.
And I love how the cover art, especially for the first three albums, sort of built up. They sort of had it's like a border, weren't they?
Yeah,
And they all sort of follow for the and then it went into the artwork, what we know now. It's like a fucking oil painting for every album. But those early albums really set the tone. Those first three was so important in
yeah,
that mellow death period, man.
yeah. Yeah, brilliant, brilliant record, man, from a great band. And there you go. That wraps up 1996 to 1998. Again, massive, massive years, weren't they? What these
Yeah,
last two parts have just been mind blowing. The shit that has come out over these 3 years.
yeah, mate.
Ridiculous.
It almost
Yeah,
leaves you speechless, doesn't it? Really,
it does, honestly.
it's
Like,
crazy. It's actually crazy. And then obviously, like all people come in with like loads of stuff that we'd missed.
that's the
They'd be
thing.
like,
People have been
"Fuck,
tagging out, and we've been like,
shit."
yeah, how do you
Um,
fucking
we wouldn't be able to get it all in anyway, and that's like no one wants to sit here for 3 hours listening to anybody talk about
Bro, this would just be
every single
the
fucking album.
rest of the podcast life would just be doing 90s records. Like
Yeah,
if you were to cover everything, you just can't do it. But yeah, let us know what you thought of our records from 96 to 98. There'll be a playlist with a track from each song in the episode description as normal. Twitter at BangersP, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Bangers and Wash podcast. Search us up. You'll find us there. We'll be back once Def was back off his holiday, all tanned up and ready to go with 1999. And then we're diving into some of our favorite TV shows, some of our favorite films, games, and all sorts of other shit
man,
that
I'm
we
so
loved.
excited for this one.
Oh, so am I, Dad.
Honestly,
I can't
honestly.
wait, man. I cannot
Oh
wait.
Now
God,
that could be a 3 hour episode.
Oh yeah, I'd
yeah,
happily talk
We'll
about
warn
90s
you. Yeah,
TV. But yeah,
we'll warn you.
yeah, that could be a
fully
long one.
immersed.
Yeah, man. Until then, party on, dudes.